Some watches command insane premiums purely from hype and brand recognition, while delivering quality that doesn't justify astronomical pricing. Smart collectors recognize when they're paying for logos rather than actual value, but certain buyers continue throwing money at overpriced timepieces because influencers and marketing convince them it's justified. We're exposing luxury watches where you're literally paying double, triple, or 10 times what the actual quality and craftsmanship warrant. Here are the top 10 watches where idiots still massively overpay. Number 10. Rolex Submariner date. When Heuer 66 to a 10 LN, $10,800 retail, 14,000 pluses, na secondary. Everyone loses their minds over the Submariner, but you're paying $4,000 more than retail on secondary markets. For what exactly? The Omega Seamaster delivers identical dive watch capability with superior movement technology for $6,000 brand new. Tudor Black Bay offers the same Rolex manufacturing quality at $4,000, saving you $10,000 for essentially identical experience. The 1266 Twin LN features 300-meter water resistance and ceramic bezel that competitors match at half the cost without issue. Rolex movements are reliable but not superior to Omega's coaxial or Grand Seiko's spring drive, justifying premiums charged. The brand cachet drives pricing rather than actual superiority, creating markup for logo rather than innovation or quality. Smart buyers recognize you're funding Rolex's marketing budget and retail empire rather than receiving proportionally better watch. The secondary market premiums prove buyers irrationally chase scarcity rather than evaluating actual value versus alternatives available. Number 9. Audemars Piguet Royal Oak 15500 ST, $27,800 retail, $80,000 secondary. The Royal Oak commands absolutely insane secondary market premiums, reaching triple retail price for what amounts to basic three-hand watch. You're paying $50,000 over retail for Gerald Genta's 1972 design that hasn't fundamentally changed in 5 decades. The 4302 automatic movement inside offers nothing special beyond basic timekeeping that movements costing $100 replicate adequately. Vacheron Constantin Overseas delivers comparable luxury sports watch experience at retail pricing without impossible waitlists or premiums. The integrated bracelet and octagonal bezel create iconic design but don't justify paying entire luxury car prices for steel watch. AP's artificial scarcity through limited production creates hype-driven pricing rather than reflecting actual manufacturing costs or complexity involved. Better finishing exists from Grand Seiko at 1/10 the cost, proving you're paying for exclusivity rather than quality. The average buyer would fail blind quality tests comparing Royal Oak to $5,000 alternatives honestly. Number 8. Tag Heuer Carrera. Caliber Heuer, Euro 2, 5900. Tag charges $6,000 for chronographs containing movements that aren't genuinely in-house despite marketing suggesting otherwise. The Heuer O2 caliber represents modified architecture rather than ground-up manufacture movement, justifying premium pricing claimed. Zenith Chronomaster Sport delivers El Primero high-beat chronograph excellence at similar pricing with actual manufacture pedigree and heritage. Tag's connection to racing creates marketing appeal, but the watches themselves don't outperform competitors, costing half as much. The ceramic bezels and flashy designs target buyers wanting wrist presence rather than horological substance or innovation worth premium. Better value exists from Omega Speedmaster at $7,000 or Tudor Black Bay Chrono at $4,500. Tag's LVMH ownership means profits fund conglomerate rather than independent watchmaking innovation like Oris or Grand Seiko. You're essentially paying for Formula One sponsorships rather than receiving proportionally superior watch quality or technology inside. Number 7. Breitling Navitimer B01 Chronograph 43, $9,000. Breitling asks $9,000 for slide rule chronographs that serve zero practical purpose in modern aviation with GPS. The B01 manufacture movement proves capable, but doesn't justify pricing when Zenith offers superior high-beat alternatives at comparable cost. The busy dial with slide rule bezels creates visual clutter rather than functional utility for actual pilots using modern navigation. Tudor Black Bay Chrono delivers chronograph capability at half the cost, while Longines Spirit offers Co-SC certified chronograph for $3,000. Breitling's focus on large case sizes and flashy designs targets buyers seeking attention rather than subtle horological quality. The brand's history with aviation feels increasingly gimmicky when modern pilots universally use digital instruments rather than mechanical watches. Better finishing exists from Grand Seiko at $6,000, proving you're paying Breitling markup for declining brand prestige. Smart buyers recognize spending $9,000 on Navitimer means funding marketing rather than receiving proportional quality improvements. Number 6. Omega Seamaster Diver 300 ounce 5,900. Omega charges $6,000 for dive watches when Seiko Prospects delivers 200-meter capability at $300. The coaxial escapement represents genuine innovation, but doesn't justify pricing when Tudor offers comparable quality at $4,000. The wave dial pattern creates visual interest, but serves no functional purpose beyond differentiating from Submariner aesthetically, obviously. Better value exists from Longini's Hydro Conquest at $1,300 with 300-meter rating and ceramic bezel included. Omega's Swatch Group ownership means profits fund conglomerate rather than independent innovation like Oris Aquis Caliber 400. The brand trades heavily on James Bond Association rather than offering superior dive watch capability versus affordable alternatives. Master Chronometer certification sounds impressive, but Tudor achieves COSTI standards at lower pricing without dramatic markup for testing. You're paying $3,000 extra purely for Omega logo, when blind testing would reveal minimal quality differences. Number 5. IWC Pilot's Watch Chronograph, $8,600. IWC demands nearly $9,000 for pilot chronographs using modified ETA movements rather than true manufacture calibers promised. The Pilot's Watch aesthetic appeals visually, but offers nothing functionally superior to Longini's Spirit at $3,000. Richemont ownership means IWC pricing reflects luxury group margins rather than independent watchmaking value like Grand Seiko delivers. The large cases and simple dials work well, but don't justify triple the cost versus Hamilton Khaki Aviation offering comparable pilot aesthetics. Better finishing exists from Zenith at similar pricing with actual manufacture movements and high-beat chronograph innovation included. IWC trades on historic aviation connections that mean nothing when modern pilots use digital instruments exclusively for navigation. You're funding Richemont's luxury portfolio rather than receiving proportionally superior watch quality or heritage worth the premium. Smart collectors recognize IWC represents diminishing returns, where small improvements demand exponential price increases without justification. Number 4. Panerai Luminor Marina, $8,600. Panerai charges nearly $9,000 for watches with ETA movements in oversized cases, delivering terrible value propositions. The cushion case and crown guard create distinctive design, but serve no functional purpose beyond visual differentiation. Better finishing exists from Grand Seiko at $6,000 with manufacture movements and superior accuracy included. The brand's manufactured Italian Navy history feels increasingly hollow when watches contain Swiss movements and Richemont ownership. Limited production creates artificial scarcity rather than reflecting actual demand or desirability among knowledgeable collectors honestly evaluating quality. The massive case sizes of 44-47 mm overwhelm most wrists, creating absurd proportions that look ridiculous rather than impressive. You're paying for Sylvester Stallone Association and Richemont markup rather than actual watchmaking innovation or quality. Alternatives from Oris or Longines deliver superior value with manufacture movements at half Panerai's inflated asking prices. Number 3. Cartier Santos Medium, $7,100. Cartier demands $7,000 for watches where you're primarily paying for jewelry brand name rather than watchmaking excellence. The Santos design appeals aesthetically, but the 1847 MC movement inside represents basic caliber, not justifying premium pricing. Better value exists from Longines with COSC certification at $3,000 or Grand Seiko with superior finishing at $5,000. Richemont ownership means profits fund luxury conglomerate rather than independent watchmaking innovation worth supporting with purchases honestly. The quick change bracelet system sounds innovative but adds complexity without meaningful improvement over standard spring bars working fine. You're paying for Cartier red box and jewelry store presentation rather than receiving proportionally superior watch quality inside. The Santos works as fashion statement but fails horological value test when comparing movements and finishing to alternatives. Smart buyers recognize spending $7,000 on Cartier means funding brand prestige rather than actual watchmaking substance. Number 2. Patek Philippe Aquanaut, 5V97A, $26,000 retail, $70,000 plus secondary. The Aquanaut represents perhaps the most absurd overpayment with people spending $44,000 over retail for basic sports watch. You're paying premium exceeding luxury automobiles for watch containing movement that doesn't outperform $500 Seiko. The composite strap and rounded case create distinctive look, but absolutely don't justify paying entire annual salaries for time-only watch. Grand Seiko delivers superior finishing and spring drive innovation at $6,000, proving Patek premiums reflect artificial scarcity rather than quality. The 324 SC movement inside represents competent caliber, but nothing revolutionary justifying $26,000, let alone $70,000 secondary. Patek's prestige relies on heritage, but modern production prioritizes profit margins over horological innovation that justified historic reputation. Better value exists literally everywhere, with Vacheron Constantin overseas at retail delivering comparable luxury without impossible premiums. You're funding Patek's manufactured exclusivity rather than receiving proportional quality improvements over watches costing 95% less. Number 1. Richard Mille RM 0335, $145,000 plus. Richard Mille represents the absolute peak of overpaying idiots throwing money at watches, delivering zero value proportional to pricing. These watches cost more than luxury homes, while containing movements that don't outperform $1,000 alternatives in blind testing. The carbon cases and skeletonized movements create visual spectacle but serve no functional purpose beyond expensive jewelry. You're paying for Rafael Nadal endorsements and artificial scarcity rather than actual watchmaking innovation or quality worth fraction charged. Better finishing exists from independent brands like FP. Journ at 1/3 the cost with genuine innovation included. The brand targets newly wealthy buyers seeking conspicuous consumption rather than knowledgeable collectors appreciating actual horological merit. Richard Mille watches depreciate massively, proving even secondary markets recognize terrible value propositions after initial hype fades. Smart collectors understand spending $145,000 on RM035 means you're announcing wealth rather than demonstrating watch knowledge. Because actual watch enthusiasts recognize this, represents everything wrong with luxury watches, where marketing and celebrity endorsements replace substance-creating watches for people who know the price of everything and value of nothing.